Welcome, Member Roberts. Can we test your audio and video, please?
Hello.
Hello, wonderful. Thank you so much. Welcome, Vice Chair Inocencio. Can we test your audio and video, please?
Yep. Hello.
Hello. And video? Perfect. Thank you. And Member Steffi, can we test your audio and video, please?
Hi.
Hi, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Welcome, Member Ron. Can we go ahead? Oh, let's promote you first. Welcome, Member Ron. Can we go ahead and test your audio and video, please?
Hello.
Hello. And video, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
As I understand it, Magali and Madeline, we need 8 to proceed at 6 o'clock, so we'll wait a few more minutes.
Sorry, what was that, Chair Graves?
We're going to need a quorum of at least 8.
Yes, we currently have 6, I believe, at the moment, so we can give some time.
Give them a few more minutes to get
Yeah.
here. Thanks. Member Roberts, do you know that your county of Sonoma is on your screen? I don't know if that's okay or not, but I just thought.
Oh, thank you. I'll change that.
Chair Graves, just to bring to your attention, we did receive an immediate resignation today from Shantavi Tornado, so she will no longer be attending CAB.
Thank you for that. I got that heads up as well. Not to be put in the minutes, but I am not feeling well. So I have a smoothie that's rather large. If you can see my whole screen. And it will be down over the next few days, but that's what I'm sipping on, just so you know. Fruit
Thank you.
and protein.
All right, we have 7, still needing 1 more for quorum. And we have Member Baldenegro joining us right now. Member Baldenegro, can we go ahead and turn that video on? Wonderful, thank you.
Good evening. At this time, with our meeting of quorum, we're going to begin the Community Advisory Board, call that to order, and have a roll call. Madeline, you're doing a roll call this evening?
I will, yes. Okay, Member Baldenegro. Member Baldenegro, can you say present?
Present.
Thank you. Member Barnett.
Present.
Member Harper will not be joining us. Member Richardson is not here. Member Roberts.
Present.
Member Square.
Present.
Thank you. Member Steffi
Present.
and Member Rom.
Here.
And Vice Chair Inocencio
Here.
and Chair Graves.
Present.
Let the record show that all members are present except for Member Harper and Member Richardson.
Thank you, Madeline. And now we have on our agenda item number 2, which is an oath of office, but I believe our new member, is she present?
I am unfortunately not seeing Robin here in the attendees.
So do we need a motion to have that agenda item moved to later in the agenda? Magali?
I believe, oh, sorry, froze there. I believe we do need to motion to move it to a later part of the agenda.
So does anybody have a motion to move? Or I will motion, actually, I'll just go for it. I motion to move agenda item number 2 till later in the agenda when Robin is here. This is very specific. Anybody second that?
Second.
Thank you, Member Rom. And can we do a visual vote for thumbs up potentially? Would that be okay, Magali and Madeline?
Yes, I'm
And see.
seeing thumbs up by 1, 2, 3, all parties. Thank you all. Okay, motion approved to move agenda item 2 to later in the meeting.
Thank you. And now for item number 3, which is public comments. Do we have any public comments this evening?
We have no hands raised for public comment at this time.
Moving right along, I'm going to item number 4, which is the approval of the minutes from October 27th, our last regular meeting. The minutes were attached to the agenda. Does anybody have comments and or a motion to approve? Member Roberts?
I'll move to approve the October 27th minutes as is.
And is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. So we have a motion, Member Roberts, and a second by Member Steffi. I will make note before we move to an approval that there were 2 items tabled in October's meeting. but they are not being shown on tonight's agenda. So that just needs to be noted, I believe. If you need the specific numbers, they are item number 7.2. The discussion about improvements to the grant application were tabled to the next month, and item 7.3, the future of CAB meetings discussion was tabled until the next meeting, and all agreed on that. So it might need to be noted why we're not having that on the agenda this evening.
Magali, do you have information on that? Do we need to?
So those items didn't make it to this agenda then.
Not officially.
I mean, I think if that's something, you know, sort of on our end, I don't see why we can't just move them to add them to today's agenda.
Okay. We'll do that after this approval.
Right, so motion to approve October minutes. We'll go ahead and start with Member Valdenegro,
Approved.
thank you. Member Barnett,
Approve.
Member Roberts already started. Member Square,
Approved.
Member Rom,
Approved.
Vice Chair Inocencio,
Approved.
and Chair Graves. Chair Graves.
I think Chair Graves, did you freeze?
It looks like she did.
How about we just give her about a minute and
If
few seconds here.
that motion passed with 7 approvals. Okay.
Okay.
It looks like she's rejoining right now. Chair Graves, are you back with us?
Yes, I am. I don't know if I'm a panelist. Yes.
You're back in the panelist. Thank you so much. So we were just announcing or going for your motion to approve the minutes from October.
And I say yes, and I apologize. I just lost internet on my computer, so.
Not to worry. Okay, motion passes with 8. Thank you so much.
All right, and at this time, does anybody want to make a motion one way or the other to add those 2 items from last month to this month's agenda?
I'm sorry, Chair Graves. I'm just verifying that with Danielle because I'm not as familiar with that process. I do apologize. So I just want to make sure we're not violating any Brown Act. So if that's okay, I'm just going to confirm with her super quick.
I appreciate that. So we'll move on at this time. And with those approval of minutes, are there any public comment?
There are no hands raised for public comment.
Thank you. Now agenda item number 5, CAB announcements. This is where CAB members may share community news of interest to the CAB as a whole. If anybody has any items of interest, it is hard for me now that I'm on my cell phone rather than a desktop to see everybody. So if Vice Chair Inocencio, can you please help facilitate any CAB announcements? Thank you.
Yeah, I can help. Steven. Not seeing anyone with any announcements right now.
Great. If that still holds true,
Yep, no announcements. No one's raised a hand.
thank you. And is there any public comments on cab announcements?
There are no hands raised for public comment.
Thank you. Moving right along. Staff updates. So Magali, I believe this is where I'm handing it over to you. You have quite a few.
Yes, thank you. I do have a number of updates. I'm just going to grab that document super quick. Okay, so we have a couple of items that we want to update the cab on. The first is that the resolution to declare racism as a public health and human rights crisis. Last night, the City Council adopted the resolution declaring racism as a public health and human rights crisis in Santa Rosa. We were given the opportunity to share our dreams for the future, including what we feel the city should take as next steps around action. And a lot of those items really had to do with translation, with internships, with sort of a number of items that would create a bit of a pipeline from community, directly from community into city. So our staff will continue to work with the council and the SEED collaborative to make sure concrete action is taken now, that the acknowledgement has taken place. With the Mary Lou Lowrider patrol car, the pinstriping and airbrushing has been purchased, the materials for it. The artwork has been delayed due to the weather. The tires and the rims have been delivered. The Sonoma County Lowrider Council is working on designing a car club plaque for the car. The stereo system is sitting here in my office, and the reveal date will be March 26th. The location will be here at City Hall in the parking lot, and staff will continue to meet with the Lowrider Council to complete the build and plan for the reveal event. Regarding the Multicultural Roots Project, November is National Native American Heritage Month. City Council presented a proclamation written by our staff to the Board of Yaka'ama at yesterday's council meeting. We are featuring stories from all local Indigenous communities this month in the Multicultural Roots Project, and we encourage our community members to learn about the rich history of our local tribes and tribal leaders. And furthermore, we really encourage you all, once you see the stories, especially on the social media pages, to please help us by sharing them. I think the more we can get it out there, the more community members will learn about those other community members who are doing incredible work and have contributed greatly to this community. The open government update next meeting will be held on Monday, December 13th at 6 p.m. And this meeting will be held virtually, and the agenda is coming soon. So with the Community Improvement Grant Program and NeighborFest update, all Q3 grantees have been notified of their awards and have been sent their grant agreements to sign. We still have not received signatures from California Human Development and Sonoma County Black Coalition. If you have contacts in either of those organizations, please reach out and let them know that we cannot issue funds until their agreement has been signed and finalized. After much discussion among staff after the last CAB meeting, and given the hesitation from at least half of the board about holding events in person starting next year, we have decided to suspend NeighborFest due to the lack of staffing and resources for these events, along with safety concerns from CAB members. We do not feel we have adequate support to launch a full program next year. Our compromise is to hold one in-person main event to coincide with the Wildfire Ready, which will happen next May. It has got a lot of the same similar components as NeighborFest. And members who would like to participate in that event will have the opportunity to do so. For grants, we will continue to fund individual community improvement projects in lieu of NeighborFest, and we will reevaluate the program and feasibility of full implementation from 2023 later that year. On behalf of the Violence Prevention Partnership, update on the community engagement efforts around the sideshows. Our team collected 608 survey responses from community members providing input on the issue of sideshows in Santa Rosa. We've also held 1 in-person and 2 virtual listening sessions to gather additional information from our Spanish-speaking community. Representatives from the City Council, Police, Transportation and Public Works, and Community Engagement participated in these listening sessions. Our team is working to analyze the data and determine next steps on how to report out the findings to both Council and the community. For our Choice Grant Program Community Survey, there's a survey that's launching this week. A link will be made available in City Connections, the city's website, and on social media. The purpose of the survey is to gather information from the community around funding priorities for the Choice Grant Program. Currently, we're funding street outreach and mediation, school readiness, school absenteeism and truancy prevention, as well as workforce development. We will also send out a direct link to the CAB once the site has officially launched. Please help us spread the word about the survey once you receive the email from staff. And that is the end of staff updates. Thank you.
Thank you, Magali. Very concise with a lot of information. I appreciate that. And a lot of great information too. Does any board member at this time have questions for Magali on her presentation? And once again, it is challenging for me to see everyone on screen. So Vice Chair Inocencio, I will be leaning on you a little to help out with that.
Not seeing any questions right now. I actually have a question. Ali, for the community survey regarding SciShows, has there been a presentation on the survey results just to see or something like that?
Yeah, thank you for that question. And we are actually working now that we've done the last listening session, which took place this week. I believe it was Monday night. We are now going to compile all the survey information, the notes from all 3 listening sessions, and then get that information out to community, as well as present it to the City Council to make sure that, part of the listening sessions were so that if community members wanted to come forward with solutions, recommendations, we wanted to be able to capture those in sort of, I can tell you preliminarily, the community is really looking at the city to provide those recommendations. So we are already looking at what other cities have done. Today, I actually sent our team an article about what the city of Vallejo has issued an ordinance, and other Bay Area cities have issued some ordinances that will hopefully assist the community in keeping folks safe. So.
Thank you for that question, Vice Chair Inocencio. Are there any other questions or comments from Magali that you see?
Not seeing any, but if there are, no, not seeing any.
All right. Well, thank you, Magali. Great news on a lot of that information, and thank you for giving us the information about Neighborhood Fest and that being suspended for 2022. That's something I want to encourage all of our members to get out to their contacts and let them know that information, and that the projects will go on in 2022. And more to come about that one in-person event in May, but that's also good to know to keep that on our horizon. So I appreciate all of that information. And at this time, is there any public comments?
There are no hands raised for public comment.
Thank you. Then moving right along.
Oh, Chair Graves, I'm sorry if I could just interrupt you for a second.
Yes.
Danielle's replied back mentioning that we need to send her the edits that need to be made, and then they need to be added to the next meeting for approval. The items from the agenda.
So the the items from the minutes that need to be on the agenda.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
No problem. I'll make sure to get those to you instead of trying to do that verbally out loud right now.
Thank you.
Thank you. And moving on to item number 7 of the agenda, which is our scheduled items, and 7.1 is a presentation we've been looking forward to, the Santa Rosa Forward General Plan Update presentation. And do we have a special staff to present that?
We have Beatrice, Andrea, and Andy joining us for the presentation. Hello, everyone. Beatrice, if it's okay with you, I can go ahead and launch the presentation.
Thank you very much, Madeline. Yes, please. And Andy is actually going to start with the presentation.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you. As a presentation is loading here, I'd like to introduce Beatrice Guerrero Anua and also Andrea Howard. Beatrice is our senior planner, public health planner. It's joined the team, and I'm sure if you haven't met her already, you'll be very pleased to be working with her on this project going forward. Also, we have Andrea Howard here. She's with our consultant team and can provide feedback on information about the general plan that you might have in the course of this presentation. I have the pleasure of working with these two talented individuals and also a very deep consultant team that's helping us with the general plan update. And this is really an intended meeting that we wanted to have last July, but because of quorum reasons, we had to delay. And tonight we get to communicate with you where we are in the general plan process, and also announce to you that coming soon will be the alternative section of the general plan, where we will be bringing forward to the public alternatives, ways of growing to the city's future in 2050. There will be a report that will be distributed for everyone to review, and commencing in mid-December, we will be reaching out to the community with a series of meetings, ultimately culminating with a presentation to Planning Commission and City Council in March. Part of this introduction is an opportunity for me to say thank you very much for participating in this project, and also to let you know that I am retiring and will be passing on the baton to Beatrice and my colleagues in the planning department and the consultant team to continue work on this very engaging endeavor by the city. And I hope all of you in the CAB continue to have interest and participate in the project. So with that, I would like to turn it over to Beatrice, and she'll walk you through where we are today. And I will be available, as will be Andrea, to answer questions that you might have. Thank you again.
Thank you, Andy. Thanks, Andy, and thank you for having us today at the CAP. We want to present to you what we're doing in terms of the general plan update, and just give you a brief set of data and information about what we are doing in the next couple of years. This is a 3-year period process. And Madeline, if you can help us with the next slide, I would really appreciate that. So for today, we just have 3 items on the presentation, and then we want to ask you questions and have your questions responded to. We know you are part of a group of people who are connected with the community, and we actually want your input, your feedback, and you are the first group that we present to after yesterday's city council. So we want to be very mindful about the time, because we know it's a late meeting and we don't want to get you bored, but we do want to get you excited about this. So we're presenting about what have we been doing with the general plan update, what was the process like till yesterday, and our next steps. And then we have some space for questions and feedback from you. If we can go to the next slide, please. So about the general plan update, we want to talk to you about what exactly is the general plan. If we can go to the next slide, please. And for us, when we hear the term general plan and general plan update, we know that people don't have to connect with this topic specifically. And we want to say that a general plan is a policy document that every city in the United States has to adopt, but specifically for the state of California, we're required to include 9 topics that are supposed to be in this document for the physical development of a city. So the first one is land use, and probably one of the most relevant ones, but we also have many others that I know are very relevant for our community. Housing was one of them, but we also have safety, we have circulation, we have conservation, noise, open space, air quality, and the newest one for the state of California, that is environmental justice. I know this is a topic that has been controversial in the last few years and in some areas of our city, and we really want to engage the community and talk about this specific topic. If we can go to the next slide, please. So as I was mentioning, the name general plan and general plan update, we knew and we heard from you in the past that was not a name that people would actually connect with. So the general plan update process is now called Santa Rosa Forward. That's how it was branded, thanks to the comments that were provided. And this is an opportunity to revisit and rethink how the community is planning policies and programs in the city. If we can go to the next slide, please. And we just want to tell you where exactly we are. And unfortunately, we tried really hard, and I promise we tried to be in the CAP before, but we know there were quorum issues. So, but now that we're here, we want to make the most of it and just give you a lot of information in a very short period of time. If we can go to the next slide, please. So this is the calendar for the whole general plan update, and as you can see, we are now on the phase of land use and circulation alternatives. We haven't started. Actually, we're going to receive the documents tomorrow, and we'll be meeting with our TAC technical advisory committee in the first week of December. But this process is going to last till the beginning of next year, around February. So we basically went through the first part of creating a community involvement strategy, which I know Andy presented in the past to you. Then we went through the existing condition analysis and the visioning of the general plan, which was a part that we missed to report back to this group. But I mean, I hope you probably saw the surveys that we had online and were part of any of the workshops that we had. We had 10 workshops in the city, and I will talk later about them. But the next big item that we will have is the preferred alternative. Then we'll have a draft of the general plan, which would include all the policies that are going to be part of the general plan. And then we'll have an EIR, which is an environmental impact report and environmental analysis. And then we will get a final public review of this document and an adoption. We're thinking about this to be in spring 2023. And then we will have the additional zoning amendments that we require. This would be the process in general. Can I go to the next slide, please? And this is the complete calendar. If you are willing to look at this calendar, we have, for each item that I mentioned in the past, a community meeting set, an event set of community outreach and communication. And we will have also a CAC meeting. We have a community advisory committee, and there are 25 members who are part of the community, diverse geographical areas, diverse backgrounds, diverse ages, diverse race and ethnicities. And we will have for each item, as you can see, a vision for alternatives, for preferred alternatives, for the draft of the general plan, and for the final review. We will have community engagement for each of these items. If we can go to the next slide, please. And this is where we are right now, but continuing on this process, I just want to tell you where we are right now. So we went through a first community survey, and then we passed all the information that we got from alternatives to from visioning to our technical advisory committee meeting and our community advisory meeting. We had workshops and meetings with the community. We had 10 workshops, and I think more than 25 meetings with community groups from diverse areas of the city and diverse groups and organizations around, including residents from different neighborhoods. And we had a second survey going on during the workshops. Finally, we went to Planning Commission and City Council, and now we're working on the land use and circulation alternatives. Andrea, who's here today with us, who's part of the team of consultants, she is being part of the technical group that is processing all the land use and circulation alternatives of the visioning process that we went through in the first part of this general plan update. If we can go to the next slide. Just to let you know a little bit about what happened with the first community survey. In this survey, we actually asked people about their neighborhoods. So the survey was open for from February to March 2021, and it included questions about community health, not only about planning and ways that people would like to be engaged, as well as mapping their neighborhoods. This was a very interesting survey, and we got more than 1,300 responses from this community survey. If we can go to the next slide. What was challenging for us in this survey was that we didn't have enough representation from different ages. We got really few young people participating in the survey, and we got very few Spanish speaker, even though we had this survey both in English and Spanish. So we were concerned about that, and we did a lot of other meetings to try to substitute the lack of responses that we got from the survey. Our technical advisory committee is comprised by experts of the city, and we have been meeting every time that we have a new delivery with them to confirm the data and the information. And we did this with the visioning process. We will go back to them when we have the alternatives coming from our consultant team. If we can go to the next slide, please. And I was just mentioning our community advisory committee. This is a group that is key part of the community engagement strategy. They're people from our community that are acting as liaisons to help the city reach out the full community of Santa Rosa. And for us, this is not only geographically, but also different types of ages, different races, different ethnicities, different languages. And this is why for us, it was really important to recruit a very diverse community advisory committee. If we can go to the next slide, please. I just want to show some pictures of the community vision workshops that we had. We had one per district, those were 7. And then we had 3 additional Spanish ones in the districts that have more than 30% of Spanish speakers. So these are some just pictures of the workshops that we had. If we can go to the next slide, please. Thanks, Madeline. We had a second community survey about the vision statements, and I was mentioning this before. While we were having the workshops, we had an online survey to create interactive communication about what was the vision that Santa Rosans were thinking about the city. What did they want from the city in the future? And this gave us an additional opportunity to reach out to community members who were not able to attend our workshops. If we can go to the next slide, please. Finally, we got to gather all the comments of the community, and the project team presented both the City Council and the Planning Commission during a study session in July what the vision of Santa Rosa was. And we actually had 13 statements that were what people actually told us during the workshops, and we synthesized them in 13 different visioning statements. The first one was a just Santa Rosa, a sustainable Santa Rosa, a sheltered Santa Rosa, a connected Santa Rosa, an educated Santa Rosa, a cultural Santa Rosa, a resilient Santa Rosa, a successful Santa Rosa, a safe Santa Rosa, a prepared Santa Rosa, an inclusive Santa Rosa, and an equitable and healthy Santa Rosa. So these were the 13 statements that we got from the community. And then if we can go to the next slide, we got to vision from the community, built by the community and the residents who participated with us in these workshops and through the surveys and different meetings that we had. And the vision that we got to, and this is still a work in process because we will still continue with the feedback to this vision that we presented to the Planning Commission and to the City Council. Santa Rosa is a diverse, equitable, and sustainable community built on civic engagement that empowers everyone to provide and support equal and affordable opportunities to obtain good housing, education, and jobs, to enjoy vibrant cultural events and arts, and to live healthy lives in resilient neighborhoods that adapt to social and environmental change. So this was the vision of the city that we got to. This is just our first draft, and it's now on the website, www.santarosaforward.com. And this is what we got to. If we can go to the next slide. But there's still many steps missing to finalize the process of the general plan update. And so we want to tell you a little bit more about that. If we can go to the next slide. So right now, as I mentioned before, we're in the land use and circulation alternatives phase of the project, and we're just finishing the technical analysis, which means the traffic, economic analysis, and the infrastructure analysis on each of the 3 alternatives that were selected through the visioning of the city. And we will present these alternatives to the technical advisory committee that will happen on December the 1st, and to our community advisory committee that will happen on December 13th. And they will review and provide feedback on the draft and the alternatives workbook, which is the document that we will be presenting to the community later at the beginning of January. So this is what we are up to right now. If we can go to the next slide, please. And just to share with you, these are actually, you're the first board and group that we actually present this community involvement strategy. This is our first draft of what we're planning to do in the alternatives event set. And so we're projecting to have 5 in-person workshops. Now that we're able to do this in person, we're planning to have 2 in English, 2 in Spanish, and 1 multilingual. And we really want to hear from you if you think this is something interesting, if you think this is something that could work, and if you're thinking that this is something that has been done before and been successful or not. And we really want to hear from you. We really want to be able to host workshops in their own in languages where people can feel comfortable speaking, but we also want people who speak other languages to hear what community members from other who speak other languages are saying. So that's why we want to have a multilingual community workshop. And second, we will have a virtual workshop space and feedback opportunities. We don't want to close the online world for those people who feel more comfortable doing it that way, or who can be in person in a lot of cases. So we want to keep this virtual space going on. We're having some videos coming out for English and Spanish, but we're also looking to work with Native and Indigenous communities who don't have written languages, so that they can also have videos going on for promotion, both radio and social media. We're also thinking about having email blasts, which is the regular way that we communicate throughout the city, social media, our City Connection newsletter, but also connect with the press and have press releases about what is happening in the community. We also want to get into radio interviews, and we have been talking to a lot of different groups about the general plan in the past, and we hope to have a new round of conversations through radio. We are also, we presented yesterday in City Council our equity priority communities work plan. And in this work plan that we presented, we're focusing on 10 groups that have been underrepresented and historically marginalized in the past. And we want to be very mindful about including them in specific sessions for them. We of course are inviting anyone who is willing to participate on our citywide workshops, but we want to be mindful that some people might not be willing to be part of this larger events and might want to have an in-person meeting with us, or a Zoom meeting, or a different type of interaction. And we're open to have those conversations with these groups. We're going to have pop-up events at other community events like vaccination fairs, celebrations, neighborhood meetings, neighborhood parties. And we also want to be mindful of where people are. So we are planning to go directly to grocery stores, places and parks where people gather. So this is another group of events that we're planning to have. We're also having community organization meetings, just joining the community's events that are already happening and the organizations that are already meeting either online or in person to join their meetings and present what we are doing in terms of alternatives for the general plan update. And number 12, and just learning from the experience that Magali and Danielle have had with the grant program, we're creating an equity priority grant program. This is an equity program specifically for communities that have been historically marginalized or discriminated in the past. So we're including these 12 points. This is not exhaustive of all the things that we're planning to do, but these are the most important points that we wanted to share with you. And this is the last slide of my presentation, and I want to provide opportunities for you to ask us any questions. Andy Gustafson and Andrea are also in this Andrea Howard are in this call, so you can ask us any questions that you want, either about the general plan or about the community involvement strategy. We really want to hear from you and get your feedback and part of the learning that you have got through the community advisory board. So thank you very much for your attention, and we're here. If we can go to the last slide. Well, it was just questions. Do you have any questions? But thank you for your attention.
Thank you for that presentation. At this time, once again, we'll ask for Vice Chair Inocencio to assist me in seeing if there are any questions. I do see a hand up by Member Rom, so we'll start with him, and then Vice Chair Inocencio will call on the next person. Thank you.
That actually was Fat Fingers.
We'll take that and let you off the hook there. Are there any other questions from board members about Santa Rosa Forward in the general plan?
Not seeing any right now. While people come up with questions, I have a small question. Are all the surveys, are they limited to the city of Santa Rosa, or do they also include areas that will eventually become part of the city?
So we're including any person who lives, works, or studies in the city of Santa Rosa. So we really are not limiting it to people who rent or own a place in Santa Rosa. And this is much more for all the people that have interactions in the city. We're not just thinking about residents. So if there's any interest in the services that the city provides, or any interest on the traffic, on the housing, on any of the topics that I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, the surveys are welcome. We're not limiting the access to anyone, and they have been, most of them, open, and we also have paper surveys if necessary for community members who don't want to do it through the internet.
Thank you. Board members, I see Member Steffi has her hand up. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for that presentation. It was really great. I've heard about the general plan update and never really exactly knew what it was as a citizen of Santa Rosa. So thank you. I have a couple questions. One is, you mentioned early on, I think one of the surveys, that you were surprised or disappointed you didn't hear from that many young people. And I wonder what you've done to remedy that, because when I think about Santa Rosa Forward, I really want to know what the young people want, not so much what maybe someone my age or older wants. So I'm curious, what you're doing about that, and also how can we as a board maybe potentially help with that?
I can take a crack at that. Okay. Yeah, we recognize that we really had low participation rates, and that survey was kind of a traditional survey, accessed through the internet. And it wasn't really in retrospect, designed to capture the attention of a more youthful internet user. We recognize the youth uses the phone a lot more for interaction and also direct contact. So we've really refined our approach to outreach for the youth segment of our population, going to the schools directly. We have a partnership with Latino service providers, which for us is an ambassador or a liaison to the community. That's very important. We're striving to spread that citywide. So for our next round, we're going to try to go to the places where the youth are congregating, communicate with tools that the youth are using, and try to do some messaging or activities that are exciting. We have two activities, one is an art contest for younger students or younger people that helps to get the idea promoted in households, with drawing prompts. The other activity is a video voice where people are invited to take pictures and write captions of places that they love or maybe find problematic in the city. And that's more designed towards the high school young adult segment of our population. So we're hopeful that's going to really help us. But most importantly, we're going to have to go out into the community to where youth are and present these ideas.
Great, sounds good. Thank you so much. I have one more question. Okay, I guess I can just go.
Yeah, go ahead.
So as I'm again, like, how can we help you achieve your goal? And I'm thinking of, if I'm trying to get people I know involved in like responding to the survey and getting more involved, I'd love to give them a concrete example that once this general plan update is done, what are we as citizens going to see different, right? To kind of give them like an end game to make them incentivized to actually complete the survey. So can you give us an example of something more concrete? Once the plan's done and it's in place, like what will we see different or improved about our city based on all the work you put into this?
Andy, do you want to go, or do you want me to bring my examples? I have a lot that I would like to say. For example, affordable housing, where affordable housing can be built, or the density of development, parks. Parks, I think, is a really important one that a lot of people talk about. I think another really important one that we don't think a lot about is health, and how pollution is concentrated in specific areas of the city or not, and how this is defined by the built environment. So I think these are some of the conversations that I have heard young people are more interested about when I talk about it. I think I have way many other examples that people probably don't care about. So these are my examples, but I invite my team here, Andrea and Andy. Can you think of other examples that people really care about that can be like a call to be participating in our workshops and surveys?
Yeah, so hi everyone. My name is Andrea, and I'm really happy to be here with you today. So Beatrice in her presentation talked about the next phase that's really kicking off like week after next, and then is going to be going on for a couple of months with outreach, where we're talking about the development alternatives. And what that really means in practice is, what are the different ways that Santa Rosa might develop based on the input? What does the community want to see happen? And what we're seeing so far is that there will be a lot of similarities across them, but the real differences are going to be where we're locating housing and new commercial and retail uses. So if you live in a community right now where you have, say, there isn't a lot of additional housing available, it would be great if you had more neighbors, but there's just no housing accessible. There's maybe no shopping accessible within walking or biking distance, and you'd like that to change. These are really specific conversations that we'll be having in the next couple of months of, what do you like? Do you want those things to be accessible to you within, walkable, bikeable range of where you live? Do you prefer to live a little bit separated, be surrounded by your neighbors, and then, take transit or drive your car to where you get your amenities and have your needs met? So those are the things that we're going to be talking about in the really near term. And what we hear from you community members is going to tell us what that means in practice. So that'll be a really big kind of visible shift in where you're seeing development concentrated in the future of Santa Rosa. And that has big implications like Beatrice mentioned with regards to health and safety impacts. We know we've been impacted by wildfires here in Santa Rosa. Where are we going to be building housing in the future in a way that's maybe more sustainable than it's been in the past? So really pertinent conversations happening right now. And then, similar conversations at future phases.
Great, thank you for that. So I think my message, my takeaway is that when I'm talking to my community contacts, these are the plans that are being put in place are going to affect your day in, day out life in Santa Rosa, and your kids and your grandkids and your neighbors, just to make it more real and more tangible. So thanks so much for those examples and all the work you're doing. Really appreciate it.
I would like to just underscore the reality of the general plan. The day after the general plan adopted, the city won't instantly change. The plan, if I were to change what it is, it's really a map or a guideline that the city will use on a daily basis to help guide private development throughout the city. And over time, we will start seeing these neighborhoods evolve. The city will make decisions about how it spends its tax dollars for transportation improvements, to complete sidewalks or to build a park, or the general plan is really a document that informs decisions throughout the city. For me, probably one of the biggest and most immediate outcomes from the general plan is this discussion we're about to begin to have. We started with the visioning to get people kind of warmed up about the idea to understand, but it's going to be these alternatives where we really get to see people's philosophical different viewpoints on how they want their community to grow, where they want it to grow, what goals we want to achieve. And really for me, the longest lasting, most positive effect of the general plan will be that people will get engaged in the civic conversation. They'll start to make connections with city leaders, city staff, community organizations. And as we go forward in the future and these projects actually get built, they will know how they can come and give input to help to ensure what is built in the future does comply with or is consistent with the general plan, with its vision. So I always want to say the plan is future thinking. It guides present development decisions, and it helps frame how we view our city. So it's really important that people get engaged now.
Can I make one more addition there? My comments were really based more on kind of the physical aspects of what the plan will impact in the community. And that's really what we'll be talking about in this next phase with the alternatives, because those have to do mostly with the land use and the transportation patterns that are coming up. But these are all kind of leading up to really important policy conversations too. One of the big issues that we heard about from really almost everyone in the community are a really vested interest in equity. Magali's announcement about the city council's motion last night, I think really just underscores the commitment to equity and racial justice that this community has. And the general plan is a great opportunity to be able to come up with mechanisms via policy that support that. And so what we hear from the community about how we can effectively do that will have a real influence over what that means and the policies that get adopted into the general plan, which ultimately has kind of the strongest weight of all policies that are enacted by the city.
Great, thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you, Board Member Steffi, for the question. Board Member Rom, I see you have your hand up, so go right ahead.
Hi. Thank you very much. When you say, what is youth? Is that, I mean, are you talking to 6-year-olds, or is it 16 high school students, or how far do you go down?
our definition of youth goes under 25. And we're actually talking to people in different stages. Like we have been talking to universities, we have been talking to middle schools, and we're high schools, and then we're actually we talked just to a couple of middle schools, but we're actually going for a strategy for the 3 levels of education. We don't know if we will go even to elementary school, and we're going to have conversations with schools talk about this and see if we have opportunities to do art projects specifically with younger kids, because we know this conversation might be a very tiring one for the youngest students, but we want to see with the teachers and the school districts to see what is a good opportunity to engage with schools. So that's my response. We have different ages included, but we want to see how far we can get with elementary schools.
Gotcha. Thank you. And then my other question was, so like when Roseland got annexed into the city, was that a general plan item that was years down the road and then it finally got in there? Is that part of this general plan? Is to look at annexing more land within the city limits based on the needs of the city? Or is that, and then if that was a general plan, that happened, 2017? So how long did that process take? Just curious.
Yeah, that's a great question, and is a great example of how the general plan guides decisions here in the city. The general plan has policy, including annexation of unincorporated land. We have many islands within the community, and that's going to be part of what this city will need to look at in terms of how it grows and the character of that growth. And it does take time. I mean, I think the annexation of Roseland was probably on the books for 25 years. And it just takes time. And while we probably, that was complex because of its development setting and all the issues. And those issues are all there present in other pockets throughout the city. So absolutely, that's a great example, and it is part of the general plan.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Board Member Ram. Any other questions from the board? Leslie, I'm not seeing any more, or Chair Graves, I'm not seeing any more questions. So.
Thank you for filling in for me. I'm trying to toggle back and forth between screens to see who's speaking there. And I appreciate Andy, Patrice, and Andrea for all of that information and for that presentation. I did attend myself one of your virtual events very early on for the Santa Rosa Forward general plan for the neighborhoods. And it was quite spirited, and I thought that it was off to a really great start. I really enjoyed how it was handled and organized. I also served on the downtown area station specific plan. I don't know if I'm getting that right. It's been a while. Committee, and I remember Legos were brought out at one point. So I encourage you to bring out the Legos when talking to the kids. They were great fun for adults. And the Legos could, once again, as far as land use, maybe be something to be employed for the general plan. These are all such heady topics in some ways for the general population. And the more that we can make it tangible, whether adult or that youth population, I think would be great. And I also want to encourage you to reach out to CHOPS Teen Center, go beyond the high schools and look for some of those youth groups that are out there, Boys and Girls Club, but the CHOPS Teen Center comes to mind because I know that they're very innovative in getting teens together and getting them involved and really encouraging them to use their voice and have their voice heard. So I encourage that. So thank you for the presentation, and without any other questions from our board members at this time, I'd like to open it up to public comment if there is any.
There are no hands raised for public comment.
All right. Well, thank you once again to our three presenters, and thank you for all of your work. I appreciate that you're moving forward with this. I appreciate the timeline. We want to remember that the last and final public comment or public input period of time, which there's plenty in between here, is between now and final public review. I saw was spring 2023. This is a 3-year process. It is long, it is detailed, and it's very robust in getting the public involved. So appreciations to all of you.
Thank you so much. And please visit santarosaforward.com if you want more information about the project, updated timeline, meeting schedules, or just deep dive into the various reports that we've prepared for the project.
Thank you very much for your attention, and we'll get back to you as soon as we have a new updates and workshop dates and events, and we'll ask Magali and Danielle for a space to come to you and inform you about it too. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now moving on to our, actually, I want to check in with Magali just really quickly aside. Did our new member join us?
I don't believe, Madeline, do you mind confirming, but I don't believe I saw Robin's name in there.
Correct. No, I did not see that Robin has presented herself into the Zoom.
We just want to make a note of that in our meeting minutes. Thank you. And I hope that she's well. And I just saw that member Burnett just put the Santa Rosa Forward website link in the chat. If anybody would like to copy that or open that up on your browser and have that handy, put it in your history bookmarks. Always good to know what is going on with that. Moving on to agenda item number 8, the future agenda items. And at this time, this is the tentative schedule and it's subject to change, but this is where we go over what's going to be coming up in the meetings ahead. And as we do that, I do want to check in with everybody. We have 8 people and we have a quorum here this evening. We're moving into a very holiday heavy period of time. And happy Thanksgiving, everybody, next week. And I know that means more gatherings. It means more commitment sometimes. So last meeting, we had a show of hands of everybody who could make it to both the November and the December meeting and the scheduled changes. Our December meeting is now scheduled for December 15th. And I think it might be wise to once again, while we have our 8 people here, to ask if you could raise your hand, and member Inocencio, you would have to actually keep track of this, or excuse me, Vice Chair Inocencio, if we can all make it to December 15th. So I'm starting to see hands like the emoji coming up. If you want to raise your physical hand, you can as well.
I see all except for member Steffi. I think I already stated that she couldn't make it at the last meeting.
That's correct,
Right.
I did.
Okay, thank you for that. I do realize at the top of the meeting, we had an announcement that member Tornado has resigned, being that our newest member has not come for a couple meetings. I'm questioning, but I'm hopeful. So I will bring up this with our future agenda items, that we have had quorum issues. And going into December, now seeing that we're only potentially having 7, I have raised some questions with staff around what our charter says, and the information that I got back is that our charter actually states that we have a meeting once per quarter is required. Why I asked this question is because at the last meeting, it was stated that we needed to have these meetings because it was required. Then I subsequently found out that early on in the CAB in 2004, the CAB voted to schedule a meeting every month. I don't know, and I don't believe that that means that it's required to meet every month. Obviously, we didn't meet a lot in 2020. And I do know and want to honor that the homeless count report is happening in December, and that, as you can see, the Sonoma County homeless count presentation is scheduled for December, although that was rescheduled from earlier this year. And once again, in 2022, there will be another homeless count. And at that time, potentially in March of 22, we might be able to have a more comprehensive report. I'm questioning whether we will meet quorum, and instead of waiting until December 15th or December 14th, I'd like to open that up for discussion now about the December meeting. I've also been told by staff that in order to not have a meeting scheduled for December, we would have to take a vote. So I just want to be transparent that I've had these conversations. I've gotten information back. I certainly can't make a decision on my own. I think that it's up for CAB discussion. So I'll bring that up right now. And once again, Vice Chair Inocencio, if you'd like to take any comments.
Yeah, of course. So, CAB members, any comments regarding December's meeting? So I guess to clarify, Leslie, this is just for the December meeting, or are we talking about cutting back to quarterly? I guess
No, actually, this is just for the December meeting.
Okay.
Would by no means want to cut back quarterly. The December meeting, I just want to respect everybody's time and energy. And I also know, kind of looking ahead, projecting ahead, is that January meeting is extremely important. Our January meeting is our meeting where we will once again decide on grant funding. Quorum needs and absolutely has to happen in January. And I would like to respect everybody's time potentially in December in order to get January to be a robust, full quorum meeting.
I see Magali's hand up.
Yes, so I know you're all going to go into a vote right now, but I just want to really kind of put out there that it may be important to hold the December meeting in sort of an effort to figure out, like, how does CAB want to show up starting 2022? Because just so you all know, there have been some sort of comments in the community about CAB and, you know, sort of where CAB is leading to. And I know it's been such a huge pivot and shift that folks have had to make because of the pandemic and sort of us having to shelter in place and everything. So I would just really ask all of you to consider to think about that December meeting and figuring out, you know, what CAB is going to look like, or how CAB is going to let's see, how do I want to place this? Where CAB wants to take 2022 is, I guess, what I'm saying. So 100% up to you all, but I do want to put that out there that we are getting some feedback about like CAB and some questions, and I just want to make sure that we're able to answer those and also support you all at the same time. So.
Thank you, Magali. Board Member Steffi, I see your hands up.
Yes, thanks for that, Magali. I just wanted to remind everyone, at least this is my recollection, that Danielle said normally we wouldn't be having a December meeting, but because of the quorum issues all year is why we're going to have a December meeting. And I assume that's what you're alluding to, Magali, that people ask me, well, you're on this board, but so many times you're free that night of the meeting, so why isn't the board meeting? And so I've even gotten questions myself about what is it you guys do and why aren't people showing up? So unfortunately, I'm out of town that week in December because I was told there wouldn't be a meeting. Otherwise, I think we should have it. I just feel bad I can give that advice to everyone, but I can't be here because we have family plans we made months ago. So be that, I just had to throw that out there, and I'm sorry if it was a little disjointed, but that's my thought.
Member Rom, and then Member Roberts.
I just want to just say the same. I mean, I signed up to be in CAB, to be community minded and be a liaison and try to share, learn more of the city council or city government. And so I'm committed to being there December, January, whatever it takes. And by doing that, I think that we still need to find out what's happening with the charter, right? Because the charter is going to dictate whether there is a CAB also. I'm not sure when that charter gets adopted or gets finalized, but that all plays a role in where we go in the future as well, right, Magalia? Yeah.
That's correct. I did realize right before this meeting that there was a charter review meeting at 5. So my hope is to be able to give you all an update, whatever information we have regarding where they are in that charter review process.
Sorry, I clicked off when I meant to click on. That's all I was just going to say is that, I mean, I think we all signed up to be in this, and we're a lot of us are new members still trying to navigate what exactly where our roles fit in this board.
All right, Member Roberts, you want to go ahead?
Yes. Yeah, I just wanted to say I think we should hold the December meeting as well. I feel like with quorum issues and a lot of new members, we need every opportunity to keep the CAB board engaged as much as possible, and going too long without meetings, I think will kind of hurt that effort. And I do want to do the CAB priority setting for next year, as it will help all the CAB members, especially the new ones, begin to take more ownership of what we're working on. And I also wanted to add, I think Danielle might have suggested it to the whole CAB in the past, but I reached out to all the council members who had vacancies on the CAB to ask them to get it moving. Because if they need a little reminder to fill the seats, I think we should give it to them. So I would encourage others to do the same.
Thank you, Member Roberts. Any other comments? Member Baldenegro.
I agree with Member Roberts. We should hold the meeting in December and keep moving forward.
All right. Yeah, I'll give my comments, seeing no others. Yeah, I'm gonna jump on the bandwagon. Let's have this meeting in December, and it's all voluntary, as the other members have said. We all volunteer to be here, and so we're gonna be here. And I think part of the quorum issue again is given that the board's so big and there's so many vacancies, it's almost set up to lose. So maybe it's something the Charter Review Committee could look at. Do we really need half of all seats available to be able to have quorum, or should it be half of the members that have been assigned? I know that's not for this board, but just an idea, So Yeah, those are my comments.
All right, I'm assuming that there's no more comments.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any others. So.
All right. Well, I think that definitely is heard, that everyone here and present at this meeting wants there to be a December 15th meeting, and except for one of our members now is available for the December 15th meeting. I remember at our last meeting, Member Richardson was unsure that she could make it. Now we're unsure if our new member, Robin, is actually a member and participating. So I almost want to put it to record that all the people present want it to happen. And so if we do run into a quorum issue, and this is my fear, and this is why I actually started to bring up this topic, that hearing those rumors, which I would love them not to be rumors, I would love them to be talked about out loud, and for them to become a reality, what is actually happening with the charter review, because I think that the reality is probably less scary than what the rumors are. So that's for staff to hear. And I would love to say that we, going into December 15th, now know that we're all committed. And if we run into a quorum issue and we have to cancel for the quorum, that wasn't something that any of us wanted to have happen. So my fear is that we will run into a quorum issue, and I'm going to knock on wood that my fear is not a reality on December 15th. So I'm very pleased that everybody has made that commitment. I really appreciate everybody for coming forward and speaking up. So moving forward with the agenda items. So on December 15th, it is confirmed that the Sonoma County homeless count will be presented, and that's by the Catholic Charities, a representative from Catholic Charities. And remember, that count is from 2021, earlier this year. And then also in December, we'll be doing that CAB priority setting for 2022. So that should be a robust discussion as well. In 2022, the month of January, the Office of Community Engagement will go over their strategic plan. And remember that we will be deciding on the CAB grants. And Magali, I see your hand up. Do you want to wait until I get done with this?
Sure.
Okay. Then tentatively, that was in January 2022. Also tentatively February or March of 2022, we'll be meeting our Santa Rosa Diversity, Inclusion, and Equity Officer and going over the initiatives, I believe. And then possibly for February, March 2022, we'll go into Recreation and Parks presentation. And also a comment by myself is that when we get those questions, what does the CAB do? Invite people to this meeting, right? Invite them to come. We need more members. If they're interested to ask that question, they might be interested in serving on the CAB. They might be interested in being another board member, or they may learn what we do, especially at our CAB grant meetings where we're approving those grants, bring them, because that's an eye opener to know that how many community groups are actually engaged and improving the community, asking for funds. Getting that grant together is no small feat. That grant application together is no small feat. Or maybe ask the person what their interests are in the city and attend another board or commission meeting with them, whether it's Arts and Public Places or the Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee or any of our other committees. If people are asking the question, they're usually interested. So I take that as a positive. And Magali, you had a question or comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention Danielle offered also to potentially reschedule the Sonoma County Homeless County presentation so that the CAB could have more time to discuss the priorities. If y'all feel that that is needed, to just kind of have the time to get sort of, just kind of dig deeper into what you all would like to do for 2022, so that that is an option as well. I just wanted to present it. We can continue with the presentation and do the priorities, but if you all wish to just really focus in on the priorities and where you all want to go next, we can also do that.
Is there any comments or questions about that? Excuse me, from board members?
I'm not seeing any hands right now.
No strong feelings either way. I think December would be, traditionally, I've heard that December was more of a social gathering. We had a potluck, it was in person, those kinds of things. And again, being respectful of people's time, if we get quorum, that it would be great to postpone the homeless count until 2022 and concentrate on that inward look at ourselves, and also maybe get an update of what is happening at the charter review, so that we can do away with those rumors and actually know some concrete information, if there is concrete information to know, what the discussions have been, and that way maybe that will help to factor into what we are doing in 2022. Are there any objections to that? Great. I see Vice Chair Inocencio shaking his head no. So thank you for keeping a bird's eye view for me. So that is the end of agenda item number 8. Is there any public comment for number 8?
There are no hands raised for public comment.
Great. Well, this is item number 9. This is adjournment. Any motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn the meeting.
That was Member Roberts, I believe.
Yep.
And I'll second. Oh, someone else seconded it. Is that Member Barnett? No, I can't see who it was.
It's Member Rom.
Member Rom. All right. Well, on that note, thank you for the discussion. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your presence and your attendance. Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your holiday. Stay safe out there.